I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Welcome to the December 30th meeting. This is a wrap-up meeting here for the year, and hopefully the last one for the year. So, and let the record show that all three commissioners are present and accounted for, along with the auditor and along with the deputy auditor over here, Teresa. And we'll jump right in here this morning, I guess, and go to the first thing on the agenda, which is general insurance coverage renewal for 2021 with ISU. And come right on up if you'd like.
Thank you.
Are you Rich?
I'm not sure if this.
You can sit right there.
Okay.
You're fine. You
Sure
can
what
sit
the
right there.
protocol is or anything.
We gotta get you tested.
Yeah.
Hopefully I pass. There we go. I have one extra one. If we need it here, so. All right. So, to begin with, this year, earlier on in the year, and I spoke with Tammy, kind of mentioned this a little bit, travelers have given me a little warning that there's going to be some increases, more of a significant increase. So we had already started taking a look around, look at other options, and the good news is we were able to find another option. So there is going to be a small increase from last year, and I'll get into all that, but I just want to kind of give you a rundown here. So the package, which is your general liability, property, and autos, has all been with Travelers, and your cyber's been with Travelers. So the package, we're now looking at Liberty Mutual. And so I've got a quick summary here on these first sheets in your or in the booklet there, and everything is virtually the same with some small increases on the property. And so your total property value there between your buildings and your personal contents is $33 million with a $5,000 deductible. I'll make note of some small changes. The coverage is going from Travelers to Liberty are going to be very identical, just with some small differences. There are some improvements, and there's one that is, I would consider like a negative, kind of a little bit of a less of a coverage, and I'll note that. But for the savings, I think it's well worth it. The inland marine schedule, that's your tools and equipment, is at $1.9 million. Then we have a little blanket there, $50,000 for unscheduled equipment. Down there, the miscellaneous locations of $500,000. This is one of the improvements. They throw in a $500,000 blanket. It's kind of a catch-all, so if something gets missed, if something is increased and we're not notified, or if we put up a small building, doesn't get caught on one of the locations, it's just a backup little blanket to make sure we have enough coverage on there. So that's an improvement, and that has a $1,000 deductible, and that's also going to pick up some of the transponders that you have out there at the water towers. Rather than having to actually schedule each one of those locations and create an additional charge, that's where those are picking up. The business income and extra expense, that's kind of those two lines. Those are basically sometimes one package coverage. On Travelers, you had $1.5 million for that. With the Liberty Mutual, we're splitting those out. So the business income, you have $1 million, and the extra expense, you have $1.5 million. So that is an improvement on the coverage. Most of your income you have is tax-based, so you don't have to worry about, if you can't operate the courthouse, you're still going to receive your monies, but you do have the EMS. So that's, if for some reason that couldn't operate, your loss of income could come from that. The extra expense is the big cost. If the courthouse had to be shut down, you had to relocate, had to change how you do your business. Think about over in Madison with Jefferson County. all that extra expense to relocate everything, get operational, that's where that coverage comes from. Earthquake is 10 million, flood is at 5 million, and then we get into the liabilities. All those are matching what the Travelers is, except for the employment practices liability. This is the one that I was referring to. So with Liberty Mutual, the way they do their employment practices and their umbrella does not match up to the policy the way it should. So rather than being a 1 million, 2 million aggregate on the employment practices liability, they're giving $5 million straight up front. So your typical coverage is you have your 1 million underlying and your umbrella at $5 million for a total of $6 million. So for this one coverage, rather than having a $6 million per occurrence loss, you have a $5 million per occurrence loss. Is there any questions on that?
No.
Okay, that would be the one negative. The we still have garage keepers liability, $250,000 for impounded vehicles. On the auto, this is where things have been, this is part of the rate increase. So your auto count continues to go up. And so in 2019, there was an increase of 14 autos, and then last year in 2020, an additional 17 autos. So now we're up to 105 power units, and I think like 15 or 18 trailers on there. So when it comes down to the pricing, last year you were at $272,000. Travelers was renewing at about $347,000. So with Liberty, we were able to get that to $283,791. So
on the vehicles, is there an umbrella to a certain number, and then anything over that number we see an increase?
So so the way they handle it, it's an annual audit on the autos. So anything that happens throughout the year, we just track, keep record of, and we update it once a year. And it is, but when it renews with that new vehicle count, it's a per auto schedule, per auto price. And what they do is they'll, obviously the more expensive vehicles are more expensive on the comp and collision coverage. But they factor all that in and just come up with a total price, and that's what you have for the year.
So are we talking roadworthy, licensed vehicles, or are we talking about vehicles that could never, maybe they run on a certain property and never leave that property? I mean, are we talking about, are you taking, and Tammy, I guess maybe you can answer this, are you taking registrations and saying, here's registrations we have, and that car may not even run, but we have a registration for that car? Are those cars, or do we have a list of abandoned vehicles that we own, but they're a parts car, or, how the 105 units, and I know they're trailers, anything that has a license plate on it, but are we talking about vehicles that are running vehicles, or are we talking about registrations?
I don't particularly ask that question of the departments. What we do on our side from the auditor's office is we send out a vehicle schedule, and we tell the departments to update that schedule when we do our preparation for his annual audit, and we adjust our schedule by what they say, and the departments are the ones that typically are responsible for calling his office and telling them, take this one off, add this one, because they ultimately know the details, and then we just match the title work back up to what we have in inventory. But I don't know if they're operable, or if they're sitting over there and they're only driven once every 6 months.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
to me, if they're every 6 months, if it's an operational vehicle, then they should be. But what I'm saying is there's a lot of vehicles that maybe a parts car or something that's wrecked and not in service anymore. Are we still insuring that vehicle?
I would think the
I
department
would hope
would
not.
not carry it, would not notify them if it's a parts car. I
Right.
would think they
But
would
I
add
mean,
them. Like,
a jump of looks like 32 vehicles in 2 years. I mean, that's a lot of vehicles. I mean, and I know we bought some trailers and stuff like that, and that's part of it. But also, a second question is, and I'm ignorant as heck about insurance, but do we have a certain? Is every vehicle fully insured, or or if we have some older vehicles, we could say we just
You
want
can do that,
liability
yes.
only on this vehicle?
Yeah, there's a few that are like that, but yeah,
Okay.
that is optional. There is a master list of all the autos deeper into the booklet here.
Okay.
I'm not gonna go through all these pages, a lot of this stuff is
That's good.
just disclosures, I'm gonna stick with this for the most part. So, I was sticking with this, since this is really the one and only change that we're doing, is changing the package from Travelers to Liberty Mutual. The pricing is by far significantly different, significantly better than what the Travelers was. Is there any questions about that?
I didn't add it up. How much is the increase if we go to this 283,
It's about, what, 11,000?
about 11,000?
Yeah.
And, if I heard you right, this is the whole year, but next year, if there's more vehicles on, it goes up.
Yeah, so you've got two moving parts with the
Yeah.
price. You've got what you're covering. You know, if you add a building, if you add vehicles, obviously the price is gonna have more. But then you have rate increases. So part of that increase of travelers is rate increase also. That's due to, you know, looking at, now last year was a good year for auto, but there's been in the past, you know, a couple years before that, some auto claims that were driving the rate up. You know, then there's, you know, some open claims out there from a liability standpoint that have some significant dollars behind them. So,
But this price is locked in for a year.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Next page is cyber. We're leaving Travelers, leaving the cyber with Travelers. Travelers is a great company when it comes to cyber. Have a lot of trust in them. There is a little bit of price increase on that, just because they're seeing significant increases. I'm sure if you're watching the news, claims activity is going up big time on even municipalities getting breached. So that is part of that increase. Another thing I just want to make note of is on the workers' comp, page 3. The premium is about a $2,500 increase. There was a increase in payroll, which is going to cause that increase. But something that I've made mention of before and want to keep note of is the experience modification. And that's based on your claims activity. That's the factor that the state applies to your work comp policy. You're currently at a 1.67. That means it's a 67% surcharge on the policy. That equates to about $84,000. The good news is, if you want to call it good news, that's coming down. It was 1.7 last year, 1.77. So that's going in the right direction, but there is lots of room for improvement here. The IPEP has sent in, they contract an outside firm that comes in with experts to work with certain municipalities, and he's worked with you guys for the last couple years. You know, he focuses on the ones where they have the most claims activity, and traditionally there's certain departments that have the most claims activity, and that's no different than with you. So that's going to continue. That all boils down to, you know, having the right equipment and having the right education and keeping, you know, as far as how to pick things up, how to do certain, you know, driving, pursuit, things like that. So we just need to monitor that. We need to stay diligent on that. Department heads want to focus on this because that's a huge additional expense that, you know, that's the one major factor that you can impact your pricing, is by training and right equipment and bringing that down. I mean, you can even, you know, 1.0 is an even rate. You can even have a discount. So you literally could have $100,000 swing in this pricing, if that comes around. And that takes time for it to come down. Even if you went a perfect year this year at 0, it's a, it's a multi-year average.
So you're saying that if a department head would, or individual departments would have training and document that training and show it to, I mean, that it would,
Well, no, not just having training is gonna impact it. I mean, what I'm saying is the training can impact the fact
So you're
of having a
saying that-
future claim or not. Yeah, actual net result of
so you're
claims
just saying
versus,
that by having the training, you can
yes.
educate your employees and
Just a
take less
yeah,
of a
reminder
chance
of, how to bend over, pick things up, things like that.
Who does that?
When I get down, I have trouble getting back up.
And then the last page is the reserve plan, the accident plan for the reserves. There's no change on that, no pricing change or anything. And then as you go in through, the one thing that I included in there, a little flyer, Liberty will come in and do an evaluation of the buildings that are, for all locations that have $1 million of coverage or above, and come up with a replacement cost on the buildings. Has that, you've not continued that replacement cost firm that comes in and
We are getting ready to have our fixed assets. They just approved, I believe, at the last meeting, the vendor for the fixed assets. So
Okay.
we're going to have a very detailed,
okay,
meticulous, schedule of any assets held by the county in the next year.
okay.
Yes.
You can keep me up to date on that
Sure.
and get the results of
Sure.
that, so we can match up the coverage.
It's Wells Valuation Service.
Okay. I want to be sure to have that so we can verify the buildings are covered properly.
Okay.
And then there's a human resources, HR program that Tammy can, utilize, take advantage of. Then we get into just the formal quotes that I went ahead and thrown in there.
You have was our claims up or down from last year?
Some areas, like I said, the auto claims are down for this past year. However, when you look at the 3-year average, it's still high. There's some open claims that have some significant dollars reserved for them. Haven't been paid out, but they reserved out. So that has impacted the way travelers looked at it, and even Liberty. Another positive is the jail inspection report. That is wonderful. That is something that has always been an issue with insurance for, going back 10, 15 years. Yeah. And it's awesome that came through flying colors. I used that significantly talking with Liberty because he originally wanted to have a $25,000 deductible versus the $10,000 deductible. And I just hammered on that about how everything's improved. And, a lot of that goes back to, the past problems, and those no longer exist. And so because of that, he had confidence to match the deductible.
Also, I know you got different numbers here, but overall, what was the increase for all the, did you say, was it 11 for all of it?
That's the package. The cyber went up about 2,500, and the same thing on the work comp, 2,500.
So
about
17,000 or so overall.
Yeah.
So again, if we lower our equipment, I know we probably won't see anything right off the bat because they don't do that. You said it's yearly, but if we reduce what vehicles we have, how significant would that be?
As you look at that schedule, you can see the pricing that's attached to it. They're about $600 to $800 a piece.
Yeah, I was looking at some of that, but
Some of them are lower, some of the older cars.
So the comprehensive deductible is that full coverage technically? Am I reading that right?
There's comp and collision.
There's comp, collision, it says AL premium and APD premium.
That gets in your liabilities.
Okay, but if it says comprehensive and collision, then it's full coverage?
Yes.
Okay, so that's where we need to look at it more closely, because there's a 1997 Chevy 1500 that's got full coverage on it. I don't know how the value of that truck would be today, but.
What's on it?
And just the second one in there is like a 1997 Chevy 1500, and it's got full coverage on it, so. That'd be things that I'd look at, I'd question, you know, just like, I don't know what, there's a trailer there, 1999 trailer, it's got full coverage on it. I mean, the cost new is $3,000, I mean, I'd probably have liability only on some of that stuff, so, and I don't know where we fall in as, I mean, here's another one, a utility truck, well, actually, it doesn't, it's only got $1,000 deductible. But anyway, I guess that's something we need to look at and make sure our departments are understanding, hey, what's the, I guess you need to rate your vehicle and know at what point are you gonna just put, you know, liability insurance on something and say, if we wreck it, we own it, so, or we're gonna replace it, so anyway.
Yeah, and, you know, technically, we have a day or two where we could make some small adjustments. Whether that could be all figured out or not, which vehicles are which, but we could still do that.
I mean, like another one, I'm not getting in the weeds here, but there's a 1995 something vehicle, E37, that new was $18,000, we're still paying full coverage on it, so. So, anyway, that's something I think we need to look at, and maybe we can have some reduction in cost for changing something from full coverage to liability.
Sure.
So overall, about 3% that it climbed, the insurance, right? From last year, 17,000, you
Yeah,
say?
sounds
roughly?
about right.
Yeah, about 3% increase.
No other questions, that's all the highlights that I wanted to hit. I'm assuming that there's a couple forms to sign, one of them being the terrorism, and that isn't optional, but it's quoted in there, so I would assume you'd want that.
This starts January 1.
Correct.
So we really either gotta do something or we need to move.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I do have a question, a couple of questions, as far as liability. If a county employee's in their personal vehicle and they're doing work for us, say they, you know, they're on the clock, we ask them to go run an errand, do something, they're involved in a vehicle crash. Whether it's an injured crash or a non-injured crash, where's the liability fall, and where's the county going? Where'd the county fall in that?
The county most likely would be fine. I mean, the devil's always in the details, but the county would be covered, and the employee would be doing business for the county, so they're covered. It just,
Covered under the county's insurance.
personal liability, yes. The issue gets into a little bit with the car itself. You know, there's not gonna be coverage for that car, and, you know, could that fall outside if for some reason, it somehow gets deemed non-county business and it becomes, because they, I don't know, maybe if they're at a meeting and they go and get lunch, you know, they're off duty, kind of a thing, but they're doing the county. That's where some of the gray area could come involved, and we've had, you know, had conversations with Tammy that if, you know, it is probably cleaner and better if they can be in a county vehicle when they're doing business for the county. Just so they don't get something that falls outside of the scope of what the county coverage would provide.
Well, that's always been a fear of mine, is that we need to have a pool car of some sort, or multiple pool cars, that if somebody has to go to a meeting outside of the county, you know, whether it's in Annapolis or another area, that we're putting them in their own personal vehicle and paying them mileage,
Yeah.
and saying, here you go on.
Yeah.
But if they'd have a serious accident where there's a death or somebody seriously injured, you know, of course, it's their vehicle, so technically everything's gonna hit their
Sure.
insurance first, which isn't really, you can look at that both ways. Is it their responsibility, they were driving, whatever, but they're on county business, which in turn, you know, we should have a, I guess, a
It's,
hand in it, but,
it's obviously a lot cleaner though.
so, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, on the Sheriff's Reserve Officer Accident
Yes.
Sickness Program there. The way I'm reading that is of course, we have a maximum for any accidental death, dismember, or permanent impairment of $150,000. Total disability, weekly benefits, $290, and medical expenses will pay up to $75,000, correct? Is that in line with, I mean, with other, how's that, I mean,
So this is a mesh with the work comp policy. So on the work comp policy for the employees, there's a medical coverage and then there's an indemnity coverage, indemnity being payroll. On the work comp for volunteers, it's medical only. So the medical bills will all be paid from that policy. It's the indemnity, the loss of income that is not paid because they're not an employee of the county. So this policy will come in, and these medical coverages you're seeing are in addition or picking up anything that might get missed. So, you know, there's a flat amount if they lose an eye, if they lose an arm, on top of what the medical, paying the hospital medical bills would be. And that's where that dismemberment and impairment benefit you see there. For the income, since they're working somewhere else, that is, you know, that's the only place this comes from. Yes, it's low. It's low. This is, you guys started this policy in 2018, so you've come from 0 to this. Whether this is kind of the standard policy for that, I don't know that they have higher limits. I can check on that, but this is the standard policy that is used for this type of coverage.
Now that $290, does that got limits? How many, I mean, like?
How many
a year
weeks?
or-
Yeah. Yes, it does. I'll have to look that up. I don't remember what that is. I don't have that in front of me right now.
And Richie, wasn't there some state statute change a couple, 3 years ago that
Yeah.
involved reserve officers? So he adjusted the policy to at least meet state code
Yeah,
regarding coverage that you have to provide because they will obviously lose income if they're volunteering and they get hurt while they're in commission of county work.
And you
Right.
said,
Voluntary.
yes.
you said this is standard, but we could have more if we wanted. I mean, we could increase that.
I need to see if that higher limit is available.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if the guy's out there and really hurts himself and he falls within those limits, I'd hate to see somebody out there working, volunteering for community,
Right,
be without a paycheck.
right. Yes.
I'd like to look into that.
Okay.
all right, guys, any more questions for him?
What you've got here for the sheriff reserve, again, I'm gonna ask again, that's the minimum that we have to offer
Yes.
by state law?
Yes.
Okay.
That meets the requirements.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And I assume the more volunteers you have, the more expensive that can get. Yeah. And then there too, training would be extremely important, I would think. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's a date? If I get ahold of some people and find out that, some of these vehicles could go from full coverage to liability only, I mean, what's the drop dead date that you need to know that?
Well, we need to give the bind order by tomorrow.
Okay.
Whether they'll go back next week and make a small adjustment, they may do that since it's so early.
I've got 24 that I'd question that were either trailers that were $3,000 trailers and they got full coverage on them. I mean, I think that's, and it may not even be a big difference in the cost of full coverage, but I know that full coverage on an old truck,
If you're not gonna get anything, there's no sense in paying on it.
yeah.
When you say trailers, maybe I misunderstood it, but I always thought the trailer was insured by the vehicle pulling it.
No.
That's liability. Liability will
Liability
extend,
only.
yeah, it's the physical damage coverage,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'll get with Tammy or something.
Okay.
See if we can,
I saw 3, I'm just looking on here, I've seen 3.
well, I've got
I'm
24
questioning.
that I question
And
that
that's just-
they're either 1990 model trucks or something, and I question, are they worth the money that if you were gonna do full coverage, so. They're not gonna replace them.
I think the only one thing, you're right about that, but the only thing I think you're looking at too is if they are, just liability on them trailers, if one would be stolen, then you wouldn't receive anything, correct?
Correct.
I mean, at that point, you're looking at that too, so I don't know which is, what the difference in the rate would be, but, if, anything that's stolen under liability, there is no collecting nothing.
Or if
for
there's
it.
an accident.
Yeah,
If you
Oh,
want,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you have
Mike, if
$1,000
wanna get me
deductible,
your
too.
list, I'll have Lisa call the departments and double
Okay.
check on things.
Yeah, I put a mark beside the ones I questioned, so.
okay. John, you got anything?
No, I appreciate this.
Well,
We learned that one.
who we,
I'll make a motion to accept the new, insurance policy with Liberty Mutual and, with the increase, I guess, of roughly $17,000, what you said, from
That's all policy, that includes the work
Yeah.
comp and the side.
all of it.
the package, I'll put
Yes.
it as the package, so.
All right, motion made, second?
Oh, I'll second it. I think we have to do it.
Sure.
Now, if we do wanna make changes, this price doesn't come down till next year. We'd have to wait a year for,
It depends on, so that's mostly on autos.
yeah.
That's where it's locked in, it's a composite rate, and, but if you add a building, if you do something like that, or you reduce a building, then yeah, or we add liability coverage for some reason, then yeah, there'll be some changes there, but on the auto, it's pretty much locked in, but like I said, I might be able to get some things done next week too, if we need to carry this over just to get a final adjustment before they issue the billing,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, I was just curious. We get rid of a bunch of vehicles, does it change the rate?
Yeah.
But probably not till another year.
Need signatures, please?
Yeah. Mike made the motion, John second, I'll make it unanimous.
Second page there. And then next, there's
Another page here.
two more.
Two more.
Gets into the terrorism. You want to check the top box. Same thing on the second page. You can initial in that box.
Right here?
Yes. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for all your years of service.
Hey, thank you very much,
All right.
and again, we appreciate everything that you guys have done, and for us, and hey, we try to keep it local, and
I appreciate that.
we
Appreciate it.
hope we continue that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks to you and Nancy earlier.
And just, yes, and if you come with one of those.
Thank you.
All right, next up is the trash site surveillance. Come on up here, 007.
How is everyone?
Well, good, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Have you got them all surveillanced?
Working on
Working on
Working
it.
on it, okay.
Yes. The one by Stacy's,
Mm-hmm,
we will need a pole set.
okay,
So, I guess when the state came through there and widened everything up, the pole's gone now.
okay.
So, that needs to be done. We've got the Finley Firehouse one set up. We got one running, testing it, and I finally have got it lined out where you can. What's bad is we're probably gonna have to set another pole there too, because the pole that it's on right now is just too far away to pick up motion detection properly, and it's not getting
Okay.
a good picture. Lexington's is not operational. We're still trying to work on that and trying to figure out what's going on. The big problem is I called Mid-America that did all of our surveillance around here for the building, and without good infrastructure at the sites like light poles, electric ran to because what they usually do is run electric to the pole, have a system set up there which requires internet too, so you're looking at electrical cost to run electric to the pole, all the setup, and they quoted me like $12,000 to $15,000 per site, which is
yeah.
crazy. Plus, you're going to have your monthly electric bill and your monthly internet provider if we can run something to those poles. So that's going to start just climbing. So the solution that we got at Finley is kind of working, but what I'm recommending is to set up new poles that's closer to like the cages, and have an inbound and outbound camera, so 2 cameras per site. So you can see the person driving through, get all that, then the person leaving, where you'll be able to get license plates and all the information you need. So you really need 2 cameras per site. But we will
So
do.
you can't get a different style of camera that has more of a fisheye type of lens on it, where, you know, you're getting and I
Well-
know when you do that, the resolution goes away.
Here's what's bad, like the one at Finley, I've got it tuned in right now where it's 1080p, 60 frames per second, and I drove my car out there and pretended like I was throwing trash. So I pulled up there, got out of my car, walked around a little bit. I was able to zoom in right on my car, pick my license plate off perfect, and you can identify me easily. But what's bad is when you do fish eyes or something, or like a wide angle, you still might miss the inbound and outbound of the view. So you might miss that one license plate or that one identifier that you could have got. So having 2 would be your best.
But I guess where I fall there is the cost of another camera out there worth possibly missing one person or a couple of people? How many are you gonna lose? How many people are you not gonna get on a camera?
Yeah,
versus
and that would
cost
be
of
up
another
to
camera.
that would be up to you guys. The cost of the cameras, it's been a while back, and I know this whole thing got pushed back for quite some time. I don't think the cost was actually that heavy, to be honest. I think the cameras themselves were around like, I wanted to say $250 to $300 a piece. Then the unlimited data plan through T-Mobile was like around right at $35 or $40 a month.
So right now they run off solar.
They're solar powered and cellular. And I mean, if we can get 2 up, so you're looking at, say, if you do 6 cameras, you're $300 a month in unlimited data after the initial cost. But if you have a couple there, you're gonna start, I mean, it's still $300 a month.
Well, I guess you gotta look at it the other way, where John was talking about last meeting, I believe, where if IDEM or whoever's pushing this is saying they're gonna fine us for trash being on the ground, what's that fine gonna be? Is it gonna be I'm sure they don't have a $300 fine, so.
It's gonna be a little more than that.
Yeah.
So it might be worth the money.
It started out at probably 20,000 or
You know, and
more.
the whole goal is somewhere along the line, people know they're gonna get caught.
I'd say
Let me-
more than likely if,
But I'd wanna,
Let me ask you this.
I'd wanna see the teeth in it, to where if we're gonna go to the expense of putting a camera up and telling everybody we're gonna do this, that somebody that violates that, you know, needs to be held accountable.
Absolutely.
I might add too, not only is law enforcement looking into it, but IDEM says if we've got pictures and know who they are, they'll enforce it personally, according to the letter we have here. Now, that would be kind of rough, but that would get a point
Yeah.
I didn't know
pretty
that.
fast.
and I mean, you can easily start posting also.
Yes.
I hate to sound mean or anything, but start posting the violators on, say, the sheriff's
Oh, I think we
Facebook
should.
page or website, like, you know, you're being watched, you will get caught, you will get fined, you know, it's going to happen, so stop it.
I agree, and I'm for that.
Yeah, because you're gonna have to enforce it, because I mean, heck, there's signs up there right now that they're under surveillance and everything, and everyone's just kind of like,
And they act like they don't, oh, I didn't know that.
don't care, so.
If you
But
guys
I'm-
wanna, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
If you guys wanna take a look at your packet, this is gonna tie in to where we're at with the trash situation and the funds that support the trash program. Again, I'm gonna blame something on COVID. We had a lot of people that were sheltering at home and they were cleaning out closets and doing maintenance around their home this year. We've had, and this is not unusual, because we've seen the trend. It's not, we've tried to reduce all the administrative costs that we can, and we did add a little bit of camera cost when we started the surveillance program, like a year, 18 months ago. There is some outgo in the, what we call the STAR, the SASCO, the old SASCO program fund, which is a home rule fund. It's not tax dollar based, it's user fee based. We have about $5,400 that's outstanding, that's due from Walmart, because they pay in arrears. Everybody else pays us for the trash stickers up front. We've reduced the administrative costs because we're down to pieces of paper, not buying bags, so we've done all the cost maneuvering we can on that side. I'm gonna jump over to the city of Scottsburg. You know, recently they went to the stickers. Their stickers are $1 each. They only get 5 on a page. I'm suggesting, from just a standpoint, and again, it's not my decision, but we could keep it $9 a page and just have 9 stickers on there instead of 12. And we could go to the longer stickers that actually would tape around the neck of the bag and adhere to each other. And that way it would be very easily identifiable for our vendor to know whether a bag was stickered or not. Obviously, that puts that person in a situation because they don't want somebody getting irate and throwing the trash out. I mean, we need to find some way to catch the people on site that don't come stickered. I don't know if we need to hire somebody part-time until people get used to this, or.
And that's one of the things that
to
I'm thinking
sell
about here
stickers to
is
them.
I don't even know that it wouldn't be more beneficial to have somebody on site, during that day at
Selling
each
the
site.
stickers.
And, because again, numerous bags is being
Yeah.
stowed in there that do not have stickers on them. And, you know, and the bottom line is, you know, there's no other county that does this. I mean, when you look around, we have a system set up that you got 3, outlying areas that has trash pickup. Basically, you know, cost of a sticker, you can take it down there. You have the landfill that you can take it there and get rid of it. Most places do not have that. They'll have one place, if they have any. And again, you know, people are just refusing to follow the rules of this. And the only way to do that is just like Mike said a minute ago, and just like you said, this is not us per se. It's IDEM saying that, you know what, the bottom line is if they put it on that ground, at that point, it is illegal dumping. And IDEM has all the authority there is to come back and fine them however they feel that they want to fine them. And people I don't think understand that, but IDEM has all the authority. And so we need to get that word out. But I almost believe that, you know, the cameras is great. But then again, if you've got somebody there, maybe, I don't know, maybe part-time people or whatever that would want to work there during the day and just being able to tell the people, look, you know, here's your option. You can either go buy a sticker and put it on that bag and bring it back at the right time, or do what you wanna do, fill it out there, and you're probably gonna get fined. It's just that simple. I
And
mean,
it's not an increase that the vendor has imposed upon us, because that's been a constant amount
Yeah.
for years, no matter what the gas or any changes like that. So we've cut out all the costs we can possibly do, and then we've added just a little bit again, and it sounds like we need to add more. But the program itself with the user fees is starting to land, because we've watched it 2 cycles now, to not supporting itself in its entirety, because, you know, we just need to maybe
well, I don't
weight
think,
our price eventually with what the city's actually charging, you know, or we need to figure out some way to subsidize it.
I just don't think that people understand that if these 3 trash sites goes away, and they could go away very easily.
Yeah.
The only place they're gonna have to dump it's landfill.
And it will cost them a lot more a month to have a service at their house.
For me personally, I don't wanna see an increase at this moment. I think there's so many bags being put down these places without the stickers, that it's unfair for the people who are doing it right to see an increase because of a small percentage who aren't working with us. So me personally, I know out at our side, I've been going out there and turning people away. They know what they're doing. We've had the deputies out, and we've actually going through the trash, getting people's names. We're contacting people. We are enforcing it. And people are calling, saying, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was doing wrong. Maybe they did. Maybe if they didn't know, they weren't reading the signs. Okay, I'm trying to be nice.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
But I think we ought to give another shot at trying to enforce this before we raise rates.
Well,
That's just my opinion.
I'm not for raising it, but I will back up something Bob said there is, other counties, I have that forum with them, as everybody knows, but I mean, I've asked this question to them for 4 years, and they just laugh, and they go, we don't have trash service. You know, if a resident of our county wants trash service, they call one of the services and have them pick their trash up. The issue, I think years and years ago, when we started to do this, was that we were trying to stop people from dumping on the side of the roads down Marshville Road and other roads, and has that worked somewhat? Maybe and maybe not, because I right before Christmas, I was driving down Marshville, and at the end of Marshville and Terry, and somebody had dumped their whole
Couches.
their whole pickup truck load of stuff out there, which, you know, so is it working, is it not? Is it a service we need to continue? I think we probably need to weigh that, because if it's beneficial to the county, then I see it, but if it's something that who's actually using it and who's not, and are they abusing it, and they're gonna continue to abuse it, so. I guess at that point, you could say, well, we're giving you a spot to throw it instead of throwing it out on the side of the road somewhere else where we have to go pick it up out there, so.
The only legitimate complaint I've got from the public is, like Lexington. A lot of people are saying they didn't realize, last Thursday was a holiday. And that still doesn't mean they got a right to dump it. But that's their excuse, and maybe we could put the holidays out there better to let people know. Because the sign says no, on holidays, there's no dumping. Maybe we could increase that a little bit, maybe through our website, maybe through the newspaper, that they won't be open on certain days or something. But otherwise, I
Our
think
stickers-
there's not really much excuse to bring your trash out there. Now, I have had, and you caught it on camera last week, they know we're washing, we're coming down 11 o'clock the night before dumping it.
Yeah.
All right.
Just a little-
Our
in the
stickers
middle
are
of the
still
night.
75 cents, right?
75 cents, and you get 12 on a page for
Okay.
$9.
You know, and here's a thought on this, and we'd actually thought about this back some time ago, and again, never acted on this, and so this will be you guys' thought for the future here. But at 75 cents a bag, you're talking $1.50. most people, a couple bags a week. So you're looking at, $6 a month. That's $72 a year roughly that they're spending on trash. It may be that and we can do this, is to take bids from the trash haulers and have them to pick it up at each household. If you want, if you're a person and they come into your driveway and pick up your trash, at that point, we can limit that to one trash hauler for this county. Period. You can do that. It does not have to have 2 or 3 trash haulers running in your county. So at that point, I would think we could maybe get a better rate if they knew they was gonna have all of Scott County. They can be exclusive. This is what it's gonna cost to have the trash picked up. It may be time to look at that and see what the cost would be. And then, if you look at you could still say that it could be funded through the sticker program. You have to have a sticker on it to make it work. If that would fund such a program, my thought about it would be just the same as it is today. Maybe you pick up in District 1 on Mondays or Tuesdays, pick up in District 2 on Wednesdays, and District 3 on Thursdays, or whatever day you come up with. That would be your normal trash day. All they gotta do is take it to the end of the driveway and that gets picked up. So it may be something that you wanna explore with that, and I would suggest that you get the people that's in the trash business back in here and talk to them and see what they could do. Again, it's one thing to look at, but for the moment, do we tell him to put the cameras up? What do we do here?
Well, that's what I was gonna go back to.
How about I get some prices together? I'm gonna go back to the sites.
Excuse me just a minute.
Yeah.
You wanna kinda go back to the sites and really see where the pole placement needs to be. Because here's the worst thing you can do is have a camera pointed anywhere where there's motion unnecessary, and it's just
Up the road.
unnecessary recording, and you're just wasting space. Your attention time goes down dramatically. So the best thing to do is go out there, pole placement. I'm not really sure who we could set poles.
The city did.
City could do it, you think?
But if I'm hearing you right, we could use the camera we got, we just gotta
Correct.
relocate them and put them closer.
Yes.
So it wouldn't be any more cost,
Well, I think-
except for having to put the poles up.
We'll need 3 more cameras.
Well, you don't need a tall telephone pole.
If I
It'll
can
be
get,
enough
if I can
they
get
can't-
20 feet
I mean,
off the ground.
City may have a couple they
Yeah.
took out that we could probably utilize. I was talking about citizen van.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah.
they set poles all the time, so we might be able
Um,
to get with the mayor and see if he can help us out there with that.
I guess another thing is, like the property itself, is that county owned or?
No.
I think his is owned by Ronnie Craig.
Probably the fire department, maybe, but, I know when they wrote us up, they went to the fire department and got on them before they got on us.
Okay.
Well, that might be true. I know Ronnie was,
so-
has a corner.
They could actually order us off if they wanted to.
So I guess we would need probably permission from the
I think so,
property owners too to place
yeah.
I don't know.
poles and all that good stuff. That's why I'm not really sure about that. I just don't wanna go start
So
putting poles in the ground.
Total
so.
cost would be to put a poles in at
Yeah.
each site and use the cameras we're already using.
We're gonna
Correct.
use 3. We got 3 right now,
And
and I
3
would
more.
like to get 3 more. So we
Okay.
have a good spread of people coming in and out, so you
And
have
the-
the view of in
And
and
the
out.
increase of cost is how much again?
You're probably looking around, I think the cameras were 250 to 300 piece, I'm
To buy.
saying. Yep, so 750 to 9, somewhere around there, that ballpark. Then you're gonna be looking at possibly $120 more a month for the data package for all 3.
I'm willing to try it. I mean, I mean, it's gotta be the best option we got
Yeah.
right now. It's cheaper than actually hiring somebody putting them out there, I think.
If you, oh gosh, yeah, you're like Dave said, he said 12 to 15,000, and that's, you know, the electric company running everything, setting it, them installing, maintaining, and I was like, that's just. I mean, I'd say it'd probably get some real good quality stuff, and it would work great, but yeah,
So the next
12 to
question
15
comes
is
up,
kind
with
of.
Tammy, I know we originally had like $70,000 we had for our funds here. Do we have some ways to reach in and grab this money? You need a
Alright.
total maybe for a year.
Yeah.
You're talking, there's nothing left we can do this year. Obviously, it would take decisions next year, additional appropriations next year, or cutting a budget somewhere to create a line and move some money into that to get this done. And when you look at the papers that I've got in front of you, this is where we're at the end of this year. And we're not in a positive standpoint in either area with the transfer station, with the increased dumping that has happened this year, and just generally the trend of the expenses. Because if I can call your attention to this sheet right here, okay, you can see that the county general fund disposal fees were under what was normally budgeted, 16,000 in just that one line. And then whenever you have a lot of replacement time needed for when it's a one-man show, you don't have like we've got backup in our office. If we're one person short, we've got somebody to cover. Whenever you cover one person, you're obviously planning again to replace that labor. And you're under budget, or over budgeted $2,000 in that line. So you're talking net for the transfer station and general fund, 7142. So I'm asking permission today from general fund and the commissioner's budget, you've got a little bit left in your lines in your budget in general fund to transfer some expenses out of the transfer station into the commissioner's budget to make that zero, because I will get written up for this program's expenses, because I let this go negative.
Didn't you say that Walmart still hadn't paid their bill?
Well, this isn't the Walmart money, this is just the transfer station period, it's operations out there,
Okay, so you're not talking about
not
the
yet,
trash pickup, you're talking about the
this transfer station. And we've had Ecotech, we have to pay them so much a yard to remove that, and we're looking at, that's what we've had extra than what was normally budgeted for.
We're
we-
actually holding.
Bills back, yeah.
Well, I'm okay with making any transfers you need to make, but and I'll vote for that if you wanna do that, but I also wanna see how to pay what he wants.
And that'll be next year.
But, I
We're
mean-
gonna have to analyze, because we're just now getting to the point where our
Yeah.
budget numbers are coming back from the state, and we're
Did-
not ready to roll forward to that point just
Did the
yet.
council give the commissioner's budget back to us this year? So we've got that if we need to dig into it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I got a question on who we have haul out of the transfer station.
Ecotech.
So is that a bid that they bid yearly? Or is that just an agreement with somebody?
It's a service contract.
Because, and I'm gonna check again, but I was under the impression that Scottsburg City pays less than we do to haul stuff. So if that's the case, I'd like to, whoever Echo is hauling
Is it
ours,
like per yard?
I wanna know what they're charging us. And then we need to put it up for bid, because if it's that expensive, then somebody's doing it cheaper, so.
Well, the county has about double the residents of
I
Scottsboro.
understand that.
So, and we may have,
I'm talking per
Yeah.
truckload. I
But per
think
truckload?
Per truckload, we're paying more than they are.
And that,
That
and
even
yes,
cost
we
is
do
big,
bid
yeah.
this, I mean, it has been a bid all along, and that's the only ones we got.
Yeah.
Well, Grumpke bid it, I think, we had Grumpke with Ecotech, and,
well, at one time they reduced the bond even, because at one
Yeah.
point in time,
can get
Who's
somebody to
Scottsburg get to haul theirs?
bid it.
I think it's Thomas.
Thomas,
Please,
Toombs, yeah, what the,
Larry.
Yeah, Larry Thomas.
If we can get it cheaper, we'll look. at it.
yeah, but again, I don't know where they handle all that.
All that.
That's the thing, and that's where we run into before, was at that time they couldn't. But yeah, anytime you can get something cheaper, I'm 100% for that.
So we don't have a contract with them, they just have a service, then we're using them.
Yeah.
And then,
We'll bring it back here in a minute.
and then Ecotech, yeah, we don't do an annual.
I don't think there's any use bringing that back, because what I'm understanding is there's no money for this year, so after the 1st of January, then you
Yeah,
can
we don't
bring
have
that
any
back.
money.
Does he have to
Yeah.
come in and ask for the money then?
Yeah, I will.
Oh, yeah, that has to go
We
through the
can't do it
normal
now.
process. No,
Get with,
no.
get with the city and
No.
see if,
So-
or I'll get Terry and ask him if we can.
No, this will
Yeah,
have to
those
be
guys set 3 poles
advertised.
or whatever, I'm
Yeah.
sure he'll.
We gotta go through the whole process
Cover all the
next
county
year.
right now setting poles for broadband, so.
Yeah.
So we need to get you back next meeting. get
Yeah,
this
I'll
approved
have,
if we
I'll
want
have
to approve it.
prices ready, everything. I think the only thing I need from you guys is just like, I'd hate for me to be in touch with the city too and everything. We just start
Then stop.
putting poles up and no one knows about it,
Oh,
so
you-
we kinda,
then You just handle it.
okay.
The next question, when's our next meeting? I know you won't be here, but when do we,
January sixth,
January 6th?
I think.
7th.
Sixth,
No, it's
seventh,
6th, I'm sorry.
sixth.
Okay, we could hopefully have something ready.
Abs-
then, 'cause That's only a
absolutely.
week away.
Well, that's.
And actually, the fire department does own the one at Finley. The town of or Lexington owns the one at Lexington. Or the
Township.
Lexington Township. And, I don't know about Stacy's. I don't know if it's on
That's
that.
Grover, ain't it? They Grover owned the one out there?
If I had, we had
Uh,
good, we had good
the
internet
pole?
service in here, I could get it.
Or just the
A dump
site.
site.
The dump site, yeah, he owned, well, I think, yeah, it's,
He don't hear it. That's his-
actually, I believe it's in Kenneth, his brother,
Okay.
Kenneth's name, yeah.
Well, no matter which
Huh?
meeting you
I said, if
entertain.
we had
this
good
Saturday,
internet
next
service, I
month,
could pull
council
that up,
cannot
and it's been sitting there
appropriate
working the whole
anything
time.
till February
I've been sitting
Because of
there.
advertisement and in their meeting.
Okay,
So February would be the earliest we would have any funds.
I got it right.
okay, so we could vote on it January 6th, but it's gotta go to the council. Even if we decide to take it out of that 70,000,
You know, it's 20, I think it's 20 for next year. I can look, but I think it's
so
20.
they reduced it?
I'm
Okay,
I'll look, but I think it's
okay.
20.
that pony going.
So regardless, I think we need him to come back, probably in January, get the ball rolling, but it's probably February before we can get the money appropriated, correct?
Yes, because you have to advertise it and advertise it.
It's growing.
Now then, you said you needed some transfers?
That owns that.
Okay, on the 7142.
Well, what it's telling me, I
we'll call
think it's,
7143.
no, I think it's his brother,
It says Kenneth.
Kenneth, that's his brother, not Kenneth, yeah, I see it is.
I seen
I
that
don't say
somebody
I don't know
told me
him, so.
that. She needing transfers here too.
All right, so tell me what you need here.
In the first one, the 7143, I'll call it,
Mm-hmm.
I need, permission to adjust some of the expenses from the transfer station in this section of general fund to your all's budget in general fund. So we can move expenses over, so this budget's not negative.
Okay, do I hear a motion to allow her to do such?
I make that motion.
Do it, unanimous.
Okay, thank
So
you.
you're gonna come back with some prices.
Yep.
You need anything else on this?
I do.
Okay, what else you need?
All right, you got a second sheet.
Okay,
That's where my question comes in. We are negative in the user fee fund for the bag program. We do have, again, Walmart pays in arrears, so we have to go through their vendor paying process. So we're probably about $5,400 that we will eventually recoup in January to February next year. We're down that figure.
okay,
The place I'm suggesting to take this from is your timber fund, it's your account. And you've got another sheet in your packet, and that shows you the balance of the timber fund. It's a little shy of 62,000.
and you need,
I
you
need,
need
I
13,000?
need the
107?
13,110, we'll call it, 13,110.
You need that transfer from the timber
From-
fund to,
To, yes, move the expenses over to the timber fund.
I'll make that motion.
I got a question. Since you said you were talking about the COVID and people cleaning stuff out, would you not think that if more people are throwing trash out, they're buying more bags and more stickers?
You're not, they're
And
going to the
not
transfer
opposite of-
station. If they're taking pickup truckloads out there,
Yeah.
he's charging them by the
Okay.
pickup bid,
All right,
yeah.
okay, I got that.
And not to mention if you got Rumpke and places like that, they don't care. They just throw it in the back, they don't care about stickers or anything else.
Let me,
What are you talking about, Rumpke?
If they pick trash up for these people,
yeah.
they're not
Pick it up for,
anybody out in the county.
County, where, like, if you want,
I use Rumpke.
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
and,
I got it.
they'll pick it up in any bag, they'll pick it up.
They don't care
You know,
what-
cause you're paying them, And,
Yeah, the
I mean,
individuals
you
are
know,
taking it.
again.
Well, I mean, and I'll be honest, I use Rumpke, but I don't buy a sticker because I'm paying for a service and it's not going to Scott County Transfer Station, it's going.
And they won't ask
Yeah.
you, they won't ask you, they take anything and everything you want to throw in there.
But
Yeah.
you're paying for that service.
Are you supposed to use
As
a
an
sticker?
individual,
I
we're paying
don't.
for it. Yeah, as an individual, we're paying for it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
paying for my trash to be picked up by
Yeah.
a service, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in turn, I'm not using anything in Scott County, it's not being dumped in Scott County, and it's not being taken to me, so.
Yeah.
So I'm not buying a sticker
Yeah.
to put on a bag that I'm already paying for the service, so.
Yeah. Right.
I'll second that motion, whoever made the motion, to transfer the money.
I've got a question on that. Do we ever give the money back to the timber fund? My thing is if you take this out of this timber fund, and if you, at some point, your monies is on your sticker fund is back to where it should be, then do we ever go back and give the money back to the timber fund?
That's your all's call, because you're over the transfer, or the. you're
I
over
would
the star
suggest that we
and
do that.
So, and if
Because
we have any
again,
positive.
If it would get to the point where you could, and, you know, if not, then,
Right.
then, again, this fund's just, is backing this up.
Yeah.
So my suggestion would be, yeah, I don't mind doing this, and I think it should be done.
But if
But
there's-
I think at some point, you know, when the sticker fund is increased and back to where you can, I think that money should go back to that timber fund.
Or-
Because, you know, in my opinion,
Or it comes out of the general fund and replenishes it,
Yeah.
if there's money available.
yeah,
'Cause
so.
you're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
That's kind of what we're doing in my opinion, and I don't mind shoring it up here till you like get the monies in, and like you say, there's 5,000, 5,400 or whatever coming in from Walmart or whatever. But again, I think we need to
I'm just dealing
consider.
with the
Yeah.
end result.
Yeah, and
Well,
this
is-
covers you,
this
so
is beyond
anyway,
me.
I'll make it unanimous to do that, but I would suggest that you, and put that in the minutes, that you would,
That if-
that
if
if
you
you
have
can
a-
possibly repay that, pay it back.
And if possible, pay it
Yes,
back, right?
yeah.
The other part of that
Can you
is,
amend your motion then, John? So in other words, you're gonna approve the movement of the expenses in the amount 13,110 to the timber fund from the Star Users Fee Fund. And if in future there are balances left at the end of the year, to move that back to the timber fund, is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
Okay.
I think, whatever she said, that's what my motion is.
Second, it's unanimous.
It is, Jim.
but back to the timber fund, is that timber fund, was it, I'm assuming that we own property that somebody, you know, cut timber on, we had money deposited in an account.
Yes,
Is that the only money that's ever been dropped in that account, is one time?
Yes.
We cut timber?
yes, yeah, yeah, that's what it was. And that come off the Just property up at Austin, back, what, 3 years ago, 4, something like that nature. Now, wait a minute, when we say that timber fund, that may not necessarily be 100% right, because we receive some monies every now and then from like Hardy Lake, I think Clark Forestry. Whenever the state cuts timber, then whatever county that's in that state park gets a certain percent.
It's the
And,
fire department. They give it to the fire department.
okay, I knew there was some monies that come available there somehow. But this here was all cut off the Just property up there.
It was a
And,
one-time fund.
one-time fund, yes, yes.
Rather, I think.
Rathert, yeah, Tom Rathert, yeah.
So I made that motion.
All right.
Yes.
All right, so we're clear as pond water here? You know what you're doing?
Yeah. Any more questions?
He works better that way.
I would like to say that Todd, our hauler, did come out, must have been Monday, and went over and picked all that up over there. On his own, so I don't, he's probably catching flack like everybody else.
I'm sure.
I assume he did it, I went over and it was all gone, so.
Okay.
All right. Appreciate
Hey,
it,
thank
guys.
you, buddy.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. You know that,
Appreciate you jumping
Andrew.
on this.
Thanks.
Thanks for your consideration.
EMS Fire Service Customer Agreement Update. And this is
Don't come in asking for
Hey,
money.
I'm not asking for nothing. Put that on there.
Right. How's it going?
Good, how you doing?
Oh, it's going awesome. Okay. So basically what that is for line of service, we'll become a certified service that we have to buy some mechanical locks to lock down our monitors in the back of the truck so they don't flop around if we're involved in an accident. So that's what that fire service agreement's for. In front of you is where we're at. So far, we've answered 4,649 calls. I'd say we're probably going to be at 4,669 by the 31st. Our ending budget was 257.39.96. Had it been going the present way, or the present, before my hiring, it would have been negative according to what Teresa's projections were. Cash balance on hand is $274,262.56. Had things been going the way they were, you'd have been down to $16,922.60. So we've saved a crap ton of money in the last 90 days.
Is that because of the increase in runs?
Nope. Cutbacks.
Cutbacks.
And,
So we brought on another truck, another crew, and we had,
well, we've done away with a bunch of non-needless spending.
okay.
So with us cutting back
That's
on our
always good.
spending, then we've increased our stuff. As a matter of fact, at the end of the year, we're actually down on runs. I think we're right around 5,000 is the number. A lot of that was COVID. However, talking to the ambulance billing company, we're at 97% back to where we were before COVID. Most counties in this area are not back to that area. So our funds are increasing monthly because we are back on top of where we need to be. Keeping the run volume checked, making sure that the runs are done efficiently, and making sure that our crews are getting everything that they need on their reports and getting them processed faster, which is why we're going to some new computer-based billing systems, increasing our PCRs, and investing in some computers to make that happen. All that money was granted to us by the redevelopment program. On another note, Scott County is no longer considered a rural community, it's urban, per the state health department. Then I researched that. So the 2010 census, which was released in 2012, is where the numbers are coming from my research so far on that. And I have very many different sections where we've got that cross information. So it looks like the 2010 census is what's made us out of direction. I also do have what it considers rural and what it considers urban, and we do fit the urban category definition 100%. We're not 100% agriculture. So you have in there residential, you have in there commerce and industry, which we are not a 100% agricultural based community. How does that affect us? What affects us for grants, for rural development, also grant processes through the federal government. It also costs us $2 per patient on Medicare reimbursements, and I'm still searching on some other things it's going to cost us. That is nothing that we can control. That is set by the federal government. Therefore, they didn't notify you, the state didn't notify you, so there it is in black and white. And I have the research stuff to show you
So the
guys.
federal government did this.
Absolutely.
It wasn't the state government, the federal
Right.
government. Thank you.
Yeah. On page 2 and page 3 is a program that we're going to be working on in 2021. Basically, with our trucks having the emitters on the front, which will open the stoplights up, so we don't have can reduce emergency vehicle crashes at the stoplights. I contacted IDOT. I've also contacted the mayor's office in Scottsburg and Austin. We have 9 stoplights. Looks like about $3,000 per stoplight. And IDOT has given me a list of people that they would be using to put this stuff in. Basically, I have to have you guys enter an agreement to keep up the maintenance and installation of the equipment. And that's not just for the ambulance service. That's for Scottsburg Fire Department, Scott County EMS, Scott County Sheriff, any volunteer fire department in this county. If the state police wanted to get in on this, they all benefit from this. We clear the intersections before we get there. We can proceed through without having to worry about an accident. It turns all the lights red, except for where we're coming from, it'll turn it green and allow traffic flow so we can reduce collisions. There again, this is a project for 2021. You guys have to get involved because you have to sign off on the agreement, which is underlined in yellow, and then green talks about some other stuff. So that's something I wanted to get you guys' input on. I've done talked to James out at the firehouse. He's all about it. I'm sure some of the volunteer departments would get on, and I know it would save the city of Scottsburg and all that kind of stuff. So it's something we can use for the county, infrastructure-wise, get a grant and all that kind of stuff.
So let me get this straight. We would buy equipment, put on intersections for state property, and this will allow emergency vehicles to have the lights green when they got to them.
Absolutely. You can either do it with a sound wave emission or a light emission, and what we have is light emissions. So with our light emission on our units, we'll open up the traffic light the way we're coming. So if we're going south on 31, it'll open up a south lane. Or if we're gonna turn, it'll open up that turn lane.
And we're confident this equipment will work.
Absolutely.
They do it in major cities, but, Indianapolis does it. I don't know if Louisville does it, but I'm sure they probably do.
Yes.
It works pretty well?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sitting there thinking liability. It don't work, crash.
Right. But
I
I'm
mean,
just,
you
when
still
I'm,
gotta clear an intersection.
right,
Well, you
right,
do.
right, right. I'm not
You
saying
do.
blow
I
it.
don't wanna give a false sense of security to the
Right.
emergency service band thinking it's
Right.
gonna be open when
You
it gets
still,
there.
I mean, when you look at any kind of driving class you take, you still have to go and clear the intersection before you go through it. But you got to make sure what we're trying to do is making sure that we have as many people out of the way as we can when we get to that intersection, so we don't put ourselves at an increased risk for a crash. The number
I
one
get it.
place
I
for an
get it.
crash is at an intersection. So I think it's $1,000 per unit to have that piece of equipment put on the vehicle when it goes into service.
And the state doesn't feel like it's their responsibility.
Well, I'm just giving you what the IDOT send me, so.
Apparently they don't or don't want to.
Yeah,
but,
well, yeah, it's an added feature to their stoplight. That's what it
Yeah.
is. So I'm just letting you guys sit there with that.
When do we need to do something?
This is for 2021. I'm just getting that information to you now so you can kind of start looking at it.
Do it anytime we want to then.
Correct. Probably not a day turnaround to get the stoplights fixed. So there's the information.
That's probably a good idea.
And the contact information with the engineer from the safety division at the IDOTs who I've been talking to, so you guys will have that information if you have any questions. The next piece of paper I have is about 4 pages. I'm not gonna sit here and read it all to you. This is what we've done, this is what we've improved on, and this is what we're continually improving on, and equipment, fleet, and all that kind of stuff. So you guys can look at that later on. Right now, we are inventorying everything out there, VIN numbers, costs, placement, all that kind of stuff's going on. So we actually have 100% liability or affectability where our stuff's sitting at and what's going on. So we know what year it was bought, how much we paid for it, where it's been issued to, where it's going, and all that kind of stuff. We do obviously have a safety program going on as well. And we also do have a fleet maintenance program started, so everything will be taken care of.
Gonna pick a service.
No, I'm not yet. I'm still looking at that. I still want to, I'm actually going to go up to fire service and look at their facilities and get with their fleet manager.
At Columbus.
No, that's actually in Indianapolis, on Beach Grove. Fleet lease as well, they're local, but fleet services from fire service has a mobile unit that comes down too, as well. Like I said before, I've checked with 6 different Allison transmission shops, Ford transmission shops, getting their input on that kind of stuff. Indianapolis EMS, fleet services, I've talked with them. They want me to come up and look at their fleet service headquarters so I can get an idea on their fleet service program as well. So just letting you guys know we are looking at different things. We do have 1 truck sitting out there that's new. I'm going to go up on Sunday morning, take 2 trucks up. One's going to get left for remount, and the second one will be brought back, and it's a brand new Chevy. So your signature, Bob, on the highlighted areas. You've already appropriated this stuff. I just need you to sign it. and that's for the titles on the trucks. And
Okay, what about this fire service thing?
so
here?
fire
What do you
service
read on
agreement's
that?
just for us to get, service contracts with them, that's all that is. So they're gonna be a vendor.
And I've got the original for that, once they make a motion on
Right.
that, Shannon, it's right here.
Okay?
This here is approved already, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then, so, you just need a motion on the fire service
Correct.
agreement, right?
And it's just setting them as a vendor?
As a vendor.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Unanimous.
And for redevelopment committee, we're still way above. I talked to the council yesterday, we're at $160,000, or $168,000, not spent yet out of that money. And then we are at $21,000 to the dime for the county, council's money that they give us out of CARES Act. So what I'm waiting on now is to find out how much will be available for CARES Act for '21, and also COVID monies.
Tammy, you have the original, that's it? Okay. There you go.
Thank you.
All
Any
right.
Questions?
Shannon, I just got to tell you that, I think, looking through here and seeing what you've done, in a short order, you've done a good job.
Yeah,
We
just-
appreciate what you've done.
Yeah, with the grant that we're working on with Jeff through public education, we spent another $30,000 for mannequins, so we can have that for public education. So we're actually increasing the education center as well.
All right.
The only thing I had is just following up on that text you and
I know.
And those guys.
That's a different discussion for a different day, and I've got information for you, so.
Well, that's fine, but right now, we need
I
to
know,
continue that.
I know.
so.
Oh, yeah.
We'll work on it,
Yeah.
so.
Maybe in
I've
time.
got you a solution. I've got you a solution.
All right, thanks.
See ya.
I'll go down and see you. I want to look at something real quick. Thank you.
All right, highway department update. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
Couple things real quick. After the last commissioners meeting, I got with Mr. Houston and gave him the ordinance from Jackson County for the high water.
Mm-hmm.
And he has changed it to Scott County and made any corrections he needed to make. And if you want to sign this, you can put it in today, or if you two would rather take it, he'll change the name and you can do it at the first of the year. It's whatever your pleasure is.
What you thought?
Did we get that gate? Oh,
We have it ordered. And actually, I've been contacted by the, I don't know the name of them, but they represent people in legal matters. They help talk between them and the probation, or the prosecutor's office. And they asked how much, we gave them the bills.
Oh, you're talking, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know the lady's name.
Yeah.
But anyway, they will ask restitution
Yeah.
of that gentleman for the cost of the new gate and for the overtime and for the new install.
Yeah. I think that's great.
So you could get that back.
Yeah.
I think this is a good thing. The only issue I think has ever been about creating an ordinance or of this type is the teeth in it to, get your, if someone violates it, or where's the teeth gonna come from and who's gonna do it, so, usually, sometimes it was us sending a letter to somebody saying you violated an ordinance and then nothing ever happens with it. So if this gives someone, whether it's the prosecutor or someone, authority to send a letter to somebody's house or a police officer on the scene to write a ticket, then I'm for it. If it's not, then we probably need to put more teeth into it. So, because we've got other ordinances that, you know, you can go, hey, Joe, you violated that ordinance, and nothing ever happens. And he goes, thank you very much, and see you next week. So, if we're not gonna do anything to people that do this, then, you
It's just a
know,
piece of paper.
it's just a piece of paper.
The only thing in here that I don't see, that I think was in the other one, was, Jackson County requires any, towing service to notify us if they have to go out and pick somebody up in these areas. I don't think that's on there.
Here is,
Notify law enforcement.
here is Jackson County's, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, that was something else, you're right, I did read that in the other one, and somebody said that if you go around the barrier, you go out there and you get stuck, and you call, you know, a towing service,
Yeah.
and they come out and get you out, and the police don't show up, all's good. Well, you know, I don't think that's right.
I think that ought to be in here.
I think,
Yeah.
you know,
Okay.
I think that you go around that barrier, or you run over the barrier and go out in high water, I don't care who comes and gets you, you just violated, you know, the ordinance.
Me personally, I'd like to have that in there before I sign it.
Do you care later this week maybe to get with me and let's go over the correct verbiage and then I'll send it back to Houston and bring it back on the 6th? Is that okay?
Yeah,
Actually, they're violating it too if they go out there.
well, technically,
Yeah.
yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, it's not that,
You're right.
I mean, it's not that they're, may not be called out there anyway to get the guy out, but he's kinda like, hey, no harm, no foul, if I don't get caught, then, but he goes around the barrier too, somehow, so
Well,
I
I'd
think
like
that
to-
needs to be in there, but I agree that I think we need to clean it up a little bit.
Yeah.
so.
So I'll get,
I agree.
okay.
And also, I'd like, if you can get with Bob and find out what teeth we have, we can say you're gonna be fined $500, but who's gonna write the ticket?
Okay, maybe we can just call him on
Yeah, I
speaking while you're
think,
there.
I think if they violate it, yeah, we'd have to send it to him, and it's up to him to enforce it, I think. Yeah,
Okay.
you're right.
I don't know if you saw on Facebook, but we did get, a truck, another truck.
I did.
Couldn't go to a local dealer, but we did buy off a local resident that sells vehicles. So now, each road boss has a truck, so no matter if people get switched in January, in the new year, whatever, everybody will have a truck, for that district. We've hired 2 people, we did interviews a week and a half ago, maybe. You'll have 2 new employees on January 4th, I believe. One being Andrew Clark, which works for Citizens Broadband right now, so he might be able to help with the polls. And Johnny White, which works for Austin School District 1.
Oh, I knew, yeah, I saw where you got a new job.
Yeah, so,
Good.
so that's good, I'm looking forward to them. You have a check, do you need their approval on a check?
We've got that on the year-end claim.
Okay, so I don't have to worry about that right now? Okay, do you guys have anything for me, because I want to present something to you?
I just appreciate you putting the gravel out there.
You're welcome, Ben, good job.
Well, I just have them check on that,
Okay,
Marshfield and Green Acres.
okay, they will. I think they've looked at it a couple times. The question there obviously is the line of it being
Well, I
private
think,
and county.
I'll let Tracy speak if you want.
If you're not aware with that small section I'm talking about, back 2010 area, when Grover Stacy came in with the approval to put in a new line because that clay pipe had crushed, that location, and I have pictures and video showing where the connecting points were under the road, that's where that clay pipe was busted, okay? That runs east and west, okay? So that section that's sinking is from where that clay pipe used to be. That's why my question is, since I addressed it to you, it is sinking more now. So what I'm about 99% sure it's because of that pipe that runs under there, and with the water that we had, that's what's causing that one little spot, not Green Acres, but that one spot to start sinking more is because of what's run under the road from the clay pipe for drainage for that road.
So you think we put the clay pipe in?
That
No.
clay pipe was put in 30, 20, whatever years ago. You see what I'm saying? It was part of drainage of Marshfield Road because how it goes, And then when the water was sitting in that lot and across the street where Sean lives, there is a pipe that runs from Sean's property under Marshfield Road, and then it went from the north side to the south side, then it ran east and west, okay? That's a clay pipe that was for drainage for the road, for Marshfield Road, okay? When Grover come in, right at that ditch line where Green Acres and Marshfield comes, is where he put in the new draining line to drain the water from Marshfield Road down to the wooded area. That clay pipe was still under there that run east and west under Green Acres and Marshfield. So what I've addressed to you has nothing to do with Green Acres Road, it has to do, I'm 99% sure, with that old drainage line that went under there for the road. That's what's starting to sink. That's what I'm saying from when I was there when Grover dug up everything.
How far off the road is that, Tracy?
It's right where Marshfield and Green Acres come together. Okay, that's where that pipe runs from. So it has nothing to do with the road issue itself. I'm 99% sure it has to do with where the drainage pipe is.
Now, my understanding is we have that right of way, but we don't own that section. And the question comes, and I'm all for fixing it, by the way, if we can legally do it.
And I'm with you, but I'm just letting you know that it has nothing to do to get the road fixed.
Yeah.
It has to do with what's under the road that's collapsing.
Yeah. And if it's a pipe running across the road, I'd say we probably did it sometime many moons ago.
I'm just telling you from what was observed and what's happening now.
Yeah.
Well,
A clay pipe would never been ours. That was done during the subdivision on that road. Now, again, we do have the right of way there, and if we can fix it, I'm all for fixing that. Always have said that, but again, it's gonna come down to a question of legalities. It's gonna come down to, because I'm gonna tell you that you cannot go onto private roads and do
Right.
anything. You cannot do that, folks, or, there'll be
And
consequences.
just, what I'm worried about is if it's collapsing underneath, what's it gonna do to Marshfield Road? And one day we
Yeah.
get a big rain and all of a sudden now you got a sinkhole. What are
Yeah.
we gonna do then when we could have done something now?
So if we can, I'm for
I'm not-
fixing it
I'm
if
not
we
here about
possibly
Green
can, yeah.
Acres. I'm
I
worried about
understand.
what possibly is gonna happen from what I'm seeing in the last year with that section starting to sink. It's gonna affect Marshfield Road is what it's gonna do.
So you got a grate there next, when he goes in there?
no, there's not a grate, but you can see where it's dropped, I mean.
Yeah, it's dropped, and I've got video of reason why it dropped from where it was being done, and if y'all wanna see it, I can bring the video and the pictures in. Because when I saw that work being done back in, 2010 or whatever, and we had a massive rainstorm, all the water that was supposed to be drained down was going under Marshfield Road still, it wasn't fixed right. I've got video of it.
Okay.
But I'm worried about Marshfield Road, not Green Acres.
Okay.
I'm worried about what's gonna happen to Marshfield Road.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Just me talking, I think we ought to work closely with her
That's fine, whatever y'all want
and
done.
our attorney. Am I right on that, guys? And,
That's correct.
all that information's gotta be together under one spot, and then hopefully, I think everybody here wants to do something to help. Hopefully we can.
And I'm gonna be clear, I'm not worried about Green Acres.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not what, I'm worried about what's gonna happen to Marshfield Road one day with all the water, especially that area.
I see what you're saying. All right,
Back to you.
okay.
Good for me? Okay. I got something I want you to just set for maybe 4 minutes and listen for a second.
Okay,
Okay, dear commissioners, until the last 6 months, I have enjoyed the challenge of outperforming the stigma of a female in a man's position. But during this time, it has also been more than anyone should have to endure. I have been through approximately 12 commissioner elections, with none being as hateful and ugly as the most recent. With harassment, intimidation, and bullying that transpired, you would have thought my name was on the ballot. It has affected my family life, my marriage, my children, and most importantly, my health. The election is over, and it is my hope after this meeting today that the harassment will cease for myself and my family. It seems as a woman in a man's position, this world we live in now falls into the category of it's never enough. Not enough that I balanced million-dollar budgets flawlessly year after year, which allowed many new equipment purchases. Not enough that I hired this wonderful crew that sits behind us today. The amount of roads that we have paved is never enough. I am so proud of all that we have accomplished by working together. I am extremely proud of the $4.5 million in grant money that the county was awarded at no extra cost to the taxpayers. When I took this position 7 years ago as the highway superintendent, I was interviewed by yourself and Larry Blevins. I asked you if you wanted this department to change, and change it did. I can honestly say this, I will leave this place better than it was handed to me. I have always tried to make myself available 24/7 to you commissioners and make you my #1 priority. I have answered phone calls while on vacation, during plenty of family meals, while at the hospital with sick family members, and you were never the wiser because I took care of my job no matter the circumstance. After the election, I asked Commissioner Jones to bring the incoming commissioner to the highway department. One of the reasons for the meeting is I had never officially met him, but evidently he felt he knew me with all the social media bullying, lies, and harassment that he had already done. I had spoken to Commissioner Jones that I was willing to put that behind me to work together for the best of the county as I always have. The meeting was held on Friday, December 18th with myself, Commissioner Jones, the incoming commissioner, and incoming councilman Eric Gillespie. The meeting was brief, lasting 21 minutes before the incoming commissioner stormed out. Several things were stated in that 21 minutes. Our paving skills were questioned. I was told to be nice to people who have cursed at myself and a road boss while merely trying to solve a drainage issue. While trying to answer a question, I was warned to quit interrupting or, quote, it won't end, end quote. But most importantly, I was told that the definition of a highway superintendent is, quote, boots on the ground, whatever that means. After this meeting, it was apparent that a toxic work environment is in my future. My position will not be accepted and or respected by the incoming elected official. Commissioner Jones, I have told you several times, I do not want to put you in the middle of this upcoming situation. But as the upcoming president, that is exactly where you will be. You were even treated with disrespect in that meeting and warned on social media to hold on because it is going to be a bumpy ride. You don't deserve that treatment either, sir. My family and friends will describe me as a leader, perhaps, and some of them have felt my leaving, I am giving up. So I will end this by saying, I have always stood up for you, the commissioners. I have stood up for the employees at the highway department, and I have stood up for the taxpayers. But I haven't really stood up for myself until today. As I stand in front of you today, I appreciate all this county has provided me with, and I respectfully notify this board with my 2 weeks notice. January 15, 2021 will be my anniversary date with the county for 25 years of service, and will be the last day I serve as the Scott County Highway Superintendent. Thank you again for not only serving this county, but for allowing me to serve you, and good luck to all.
I hate that, Jill.
I appreciate it.
I think you've done a good job.
I appreciate you.
Well, I'll just say that that's not what I expected, so,
I've appreciated you, Mike. I have honestly appreciated. I've said behind your back and to your face, you've been a good commissioner to me and to the county highway department, and I stand behind that.
I will say if you change your mind, I'm for keeping.
You know, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna take a moment here to say, I interviewed Jill. You're exactly right. I'm the only one here that when we put you in that position. Folks, I'm gonna tell you, you are gonna miss this lady dearly. You are going to miss her leadership, because when I come on here as a commissioner 16 years ago, it was nothing like it is now. Our crew is a wonderful crew to have. They work together. That's on account of her. She done that. when I first come on, that was probably about like in my, I guess, only response would be like a first grade classroom. You didn't know they was at each other's throats. She took over, and I won't ever forget the words that you said, and I asked her in her interview, when we was interviewing for people, and again, we had a, what I'm trying to say, engineer, county engineer. Again, he had the PE that he was an engineer. But I asked Jill, I said, why should we hire you? And I'll never forget the words. And her words was, I've been doing it all along anyway.
Yes, sir.
And I studied on that. And as I went back and looked through the situations and looked through the years, it was exactly right. She had been doing the job all along. And for that reason, again, we said, you know what? If you're doing the job, I don't care whether you're a man, you're a woman, that means nothing to me. What I wanted was somebody that could do the job, and she's certainly done the job. And again, this county does not understand, and the residents of the county, and I will say this wholeheartedly, the only reason that we received $4.5 million is because of her. Now, again, you know, it's been said, and yeah, things that's been said, oh, the money comes from the state. Hell, we know that. We've always known that. But if somebody doesn't physically go after it, there's nobody ever going to come down here and hand you a check for $4.5 million. It takes, and again, if it was, every other county would be getting this, but they're not getting it. We are been very blessed and very fortunate. Again, didn't have no clue, but I wish you well in whatever you decide to do. And I will tell you this, whatever you decide to do, you will have a bright future in it, because you are a person that does know how to run a department, and you are a person that has gotten and received all the grant monies. There's not one of us right here that done that. It was you. Again, my opinion, and has always been, if you're going to sit in a seat like this, is put people out there that you can trust and allow them to do their job. And you did your job. And I thank you for that.
Well, I'm gonna just say that, again, I didn't know that you were gonna do that. And, I'm gonna reserve what I'm gonna say until later, so.
All right, end of the year claims considerations. This is them.
It's a stack there, so. We warned you there would be a few more.
This is all the standard ones.
Everything is pretty much standard. Jill's claims in there for the truck. Shannon's,
Okay.
approved claims are, expenditures for his ambulance, remount.
I'll make a motion to accept them.
Motion made.
Second.
I'll make that unanimous.
We've got two payrolls, one's actually a ratification for the 18th payroll, and then we're actually, presenting checks, tomorrow, it's pay date. The January 1st holiday fell on the weekend, that was the holiday weekend, so to speak, so the bank would not post on the 1st. Council was gracious enough to appropriate additional monies to pay, employees that are on the pay period schedule, which is your exempt and non-exempt employees, on December the 31st. Nobody's budget's gonna go negative because they appropriated a lump sum out of the hospital reserve fund to cover that 27th pay date in 2020. 2021 would have normally been the 27th pay date. That will be how elected officials will be paid through 27 disbursements, starting January the 4th. So even though regular employees are getting paid tomorrow, electeds will get their first pay drawdown of 27. So you'll have a little bit less each paycheck, but you'll get paid a 27th time by the end of the year. Starting January the 4th will be the first pay date for electives. And then the ending on the 27th, we'll start on the January 15th, we'll all be back together on the same pay period. We'll just have one extra in there for electives. So it's a little confusing, but it all worked out the easiest we could between a year having 27 pays. So
You were talking about what we were talking about with elected officials, is
Yes.
that correct?
correct. Only elected officials,
Yeah, newly elected officials.
any elected officials, because your last pay date was the 18th.
Yeah, okay. I'll make a motion to accept.
Ratification,
Second.
unanimous.
And I apologize for the minutes, normally I get them out to you the night before, but Mike knows I had to go feed my stomach. He saw me last night.
All right, what about the November 18th minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes for the November 18th meeting.
And I'll second that.
Motion made, and second, I'll make it unanimous. Okay. All right, next up is, looks like last but certainly not least, is some recognition I think we got to do, right?
Excuse me, just a moment.
Huh?
You can present this to Dana.
Oh, okay. Hang on. Okay, I'll write this here. All right, first up, Marilyn Cul-de-sac. Looky here. In honor and appreciation of Marilyn Cul-de-sac, Scott County government recognized her dedicated service as Chief Deputy Recorder and Recorder 2015 to 2020. And I'm gonna say this, that you come in at a time and you've done a wonderful job, and we certainly appreciate that. So, Marilyn, we want to hand you this.
Thank you. Never missed a beat. Good job, Marilyn. Good job.
All right, next up, I guess I'll continue right on here. Mr. Pate, would you please come up here?
Rough on an old man.
I'm telling you. You know, I tell you what, Danny is retiring, leaving out, and this is a certificate of appreciation presented to Danny Pate for 22 years of dedicated service to the citizens of Scott County. Let his commitment and work ethic, determination, teamwork be an example for others to follow. And it is presented this day, the 30th of December 2020. And Danny, we, and also, that's a little something here, I'll let you open it up, how's that? And I'll give you this here. I tell you, Danny certainly exemplifies what an employee should be. I'll give you that there, and I thank you, buddy. Let me tell you, we'd like to tell you a little bit about Danny. Danny is, I've had three road bosses now. Two road bosses, Ed Pennington when I come in, and then when Ed retired, put Danny in there, and now, of course, Tyler is in District 1. I'm gonna tell you that Danny is, and all the employees in my district, I'm gonna say that's worked for me, thank you very much. Danny's the type of person that I didn't have to call Danny and tell him, hey, go do this, because Danny was out there every day looking for something. He was out there, if he found it, he took care of it. Danny is very good with the people out there and diffusing situations, because sometimes people are a little irate for whatever reason, but you've done a wonderful job with that. And you cannot believe the times that people would come to me when I was out in public and just sing the praises of yourself. And so for 22 years, you've done a wonderful job, and we certainly appreciate
Appreciate
you.
it, thank you.
Thanks.
If anybody needs any help with any stuff, just, I'm always around.
There you go.
All right?
All right.
And I'm ditto on that. Anytime you didn't work my district very much, and whenever I needed something, you were on it. So I appreciate it too. I think we have.
Is that it?
Young that retired.
I
I
think-
have got stuff to do. Feed some buffalo.
I think we have one more here. The county, in honor and appreciation of Robert C. Tobias, Scott County government recognizes your dedicated service, 7-year leadership as a board member. We appreciate it, Bob. I'm not done. I've got a letter here from the city of Scottsburg.
Oh.
From Mayor Amick, Robert Tobias, dear Bob, the day has come to hang up your, I don't know why this is bothering me. The day has come to hang up your county commissioner hat. This may be a sad day for you, as it is meant for many of us. First, as Mayor of Scottsburg, I want to thank you for everything you have accomplished for Scott County. And helping Scott County, you have also helped Scottsburg. Please know our citizens are grateful. It takes a lot of courage to put your name on a ballot, and if elected, we then serve with a humble heart as a servant of the people. You have accomplished these attributes and have served faithfully. I believe your biggest accomplishment to be your unwavering determination in bringing to Scott County the food boxes during a time of a pandemic, when many had lost jobs and necessities were scarce. We will not forget the tears of thankfulness that we saw in the faces of those who received this help. As servants of the Lord, it has been an honor to serve in partnership role beside you. May our Lord bless you as you enter this next season of life. We extend our warmest congratulations on the arrival of your newest grandchild, a boy who has been gifted with an excellent role model as his grandfather. We wish you the very best, and please know that you are leaving the people and the places in our community a little better than you found them. And for that, we're forever grateful. God bless. Respectfully, Terry Amick, Mayor of Scottsburg.
Thank you very much. Thanks,
I got one.
uh-oh.
Oh, mine's a little funnier, of course. It says, you know when you coach your own kid and you are harder on them than you are on other players. Well, that is what it has been for me. We have laughed, I have cried, we have had some knockdown, drag-out fights. But once I have calmed you down, you've always listened to my side, and I appreciate that. You have made me a better manager by teaching me we can all boss people, but not all can manage people. You have taught me that we all fall, but what makes us different is how we get back up. You have taught me behind every good man is a great woman. Well, maybe I got that one backwards. I appreciate you making it hard on me, Bob. No matter the public opinion of me, and boy do they have one, you, sir, made me want to work harder and prove what I could do for this county. So from one department head, one taxpayer, and most importantly, one friend, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being able to serve the people of Scott County alongside you. It has been my privilege, sir.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Puts a lot of pressure on a fella, I can tell you that.
We said we were gonna cry like
Well, I know
a
it, you know,
councilman
yeah.
yesterday.
You know, folks, I tell you what, I jotted down a few things here, and I will say this, not nearly enough. But 16 years, that's a long time to stay at a dance. Let me tell you it is. It's been an honor, it's been a privilege to be able to serve the people of Scott County. Now, it's, I've got to serve with, started out Mark Hayes, Larry Blevins, Kelly Robbins come on, Mike come on, Gene come on, of course John. So I've got to serve with a lot of good people. And I'm going to tell you that out of all those people, they're dear friends, they're good people. And I truly believe that each person that I've served with on this board has always had Scott County first. They never come with an agenda. They come with the vision to make this county better. And in my opinion, if you're going to sit in a seat like this is what you need to be, how you need to come. Because I'm going to tell you, it's politics don't play a part at this local level. Shouldn't. It should be about making this county better. It should be leave something, I read something one time and I never forgot that. We do not inherit this earth as our own. We're just merely the caretakers for the next generation. So, with that being said, some of the things that we got done, and I'm proud to say that we was part of. When I first come on here, remember this, the week before I took office, we had a 36.5-inch snowfall, lucky me, that hit Scott County. And, again, had to deal with that. But some of the things that we was able to do when we come on here, and I think has left this county a better place, was the fact that we did create an ambulance service. Second to none here in the state. Of course, we always got controversial things, but we had a log jam down on the river, and Danny and of course Jill remembers that very well. But we had prices up to $500,000 to clean that out. Talk about thinking outside the box. What did we do? We went and bought a $30,000 crane, and we had about $40,000 in by the time we got it here in buckets, and we cleaned that river out for $80,000. So that was a taxpayer savings of $400,000. Thought out of the box a little bit there, I think. The War Memorial, most beautiful war memorial there is out here. And now, we didn't raise the money for that, but we were part of that. And now it belongs to us, and we take care of it. And I'm going to tell you, when you look out there during the summer, winter, there's always somebody out there looking at that. They constantly, it amazes me that many people do visit the War Memorial. Again, I think we've also done the Fireman's Memorial over here while I've been here. We was able to, again, build a jail addition. We was able to buy and create the new health department campus out there. We have resurfaced over 150 miles of road in this county, 30 miles of road. We're over 50%. We've received $4.5 million grants again. That was thanks to her. And we gave out close to $2 million worth of food. Now, again, I'm going to say this. That wasn't me. That was this board. This was this board that done that. It was the boards before that done that. I'm not going to take the credit for this. I was just happened to be part of it. But on a board, one person, you're nothing. It takes the majority. And these guys here, the lattice that I've talked about, they've been there every step, and they've supported and backed me. I've supported and backed on them. And that's what it takes. It takes to give and take and to learn how to work together for one common goal, and that's the betterment of Scott County. And, during this time, I'm the only one, I think, that's sitting here that had to deal with both of these, but, We dealt with an HIV epidemic. We had to deal with a COVID pandemic. How lucky can a feller be? Seriously. But again, all this was things that we worked together, Republican, Democrat, and our county is better off for it. We're better than what it was. We've upgraded a lot of equipment at the county highway. When I first come on, our equipment was getting in disarray. We have been able to purchase, and a lot of it some of it come through the military, and that has been a godsend. Again, dealing with both Republican and Democrat sheriffs, it's worked. It wasn't about what your politics is. It's about how do we make the county better. And we've done that, I think. I will say this, and lots of times I get a lot of negativity. But folks, it's not just this board either. It's the county council. And everything that we have got and where we're at, the council, if there's monies, it was appropriated, it was approved by them. We've been blessed, I have, to work with some very good council members and a council that would at least listen. We don't always see eye to eye. There's no doubt about that. But then again, most of us married in here probably don't see eye to eye to our spouses every day either. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, what I'm saying is the council was very good and gracious to us. And I will say this, the county council, and people don't want to think about this, nobody wants to pay more taxes. But let me tell you something. Our tax rate has not raised since 2003 in Scott County. That's a fact. You can look it up. Your tax rate has not raised. Let me rephrase that. It's raised in Jennings Township because of the school project, not because of the counties. So the county tax rate is the same. Now keep in mind that the schools is getting about 77 to 78 cents out of every tax dollar that you're getting. And they have been able to do all the things that we just talked about without raising the tax rate. I think they've been very good stewards of our money. I think they've done a good job. Now, when you are a public servant and when you are elected official, you will put a target on your back for everybody that walks down the street that want to kick you. And that's okay. That's what it's being elected servant about, maybe. But I will say this, I am proud of the time I've served here. I've worked with 3 auditors, Teresa and Tammy and Iva, and I'm telling you, folks, these people all has the best interest for this county. So with that being said, I would like to say thank you again, and it's been a pleasure. Again, I move right on. I've got a new grandbaby. I've got a granddaughter sitting in the back. So I've got plenty to do. And again, thank you all. And before I leave, I've got 2 questions.
No.
One is, what about the Verizon tower? When are they gonna put it up? When are we gonna start getting paid?
I don't know.
We need to probably turn that over to our somebody legal team or somebody and find out what the hell's going on there.
And the
Let's just be
venture, that
honest.
may be your second question, and I'm.
And the venture, that was my next thing is, if they're gonna park the trucks there, then they need to pay us.
Well, and I actually couldn't remember that I had actually copied Attorney Houston on that email, that when I originally started trying to figure out where our proceeds were from that rental back in November, and I have also copied him again, and we will be working on that.
Okay. All right.
I think you've worked with about 5 different sheriffs, too.
I have, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's, and again, it's been a pleasure. It's been fun. Anybody else and nothing else? I'll entertain a motion to get out of here. I think there's some goodies over here that, Tammy, and feel free to dive into them, how's that?
Well, I just want to say before we adjourn that I know you and I probably talked literally hundreds of times because as your plaque says, you were board president almost 50% of the time that you were serving as commissioner. So I appreciate your support. Unfortunately, somebody's going to get to talk to me that way next year. And the
Sure.
next year, you got 2 more years to put up with me. But I always appreciate you being there. You didn't, you know, and there's been a couple of times that I'm just normally not a easily aggravated person, but you've actually announced to the people out in the office, and one thing I appreciate your sense of humor. Hey, I'm getting ready to go in, people, and if I come out with 2 black eyes, we know it didn't go very well. So, you know, I appreciate you. You've always been number one. You've been supportive. You've been supportive of the office and what we do in here. We are caught sometimes between 2 lovers feeling like a fool with council and commissioners, okay, to coin that
Sure.
song. And, but we always sort it out, because again, I'm gonna go back to what you said, it's about Scott County, it's not about me, it's not about your intentions, it's not about anybody, it's about what's best for the taxpayers, because that's who I work for, that's who I've always worked for. I don't have any problem identifying my customer, and that is the taxpayer. So I appreciate you for your attitude and the support of all the people that's on the board. And hopefully, everybody will be happy in their endeavors, and I wish you the best.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I will, again, we'll say, when she just brought that up right there, we'll say this one more time here. In 16 years, a county commissioner's salary is roughly $20,000 a year. I'm gonna tell you what, if you do this for the money, you're going broke. Because if I figured up the hours that I've got in and through the years, none of us is making $5 an hour, I can tell you that. Probably more like $2 an hour. But that's not the reason to do it. So anyway, we, again, we thank everybody. And you know, I'm gonna tell you, I wish nothing but the best for you guys. I wish nothing but the best for the incoming. Because I'm gonna tell you, when they do good, Scott County does good. We all do good. It's, I wish everybody the best, and, you know, hey, let's make this a better place for us. People like that sitting in the back of the room. That's who it's for. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to get out of here. What do you say?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Let's go. We're unanimous. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.